I mentioned before, I'm Marky Bilson, Tri-City Sports Now, that usually at this time we talk to Jerry all the way for a memorial service, so he'll join us on Friday, but he won't join me today. I wanted to, I'll just give, because I know the big focus is on the NFL draft, and maybe this shows something with Talladega. What was the difference of the spacers? I'm still not convinced, and I know a lot of people think that I'm a Neanderthal when I say this, and they point out that with the extreme speeds of Talladega, you know, there were fatalities on that crash. I think the most famous one, probably Tiny London, 1975. And then the idea was we have to put these restrictor plates on the cars. We have to slow the cars down. But what this did was create a lot of pack racing, and you saw in the last 10 laps, or really all throughout the race, just crash after crash after crash. Well, that's what a lot of people watch for, don't get me wrong. I do think a lot of people watch for more people who follow NASCAR would like to see Chevy win than certainly Toyota. And it happened, first time all year. Chevy, since they changed the Camaro, has not performed well, with one exception, super speedways. And I think that a lot of this is the short tracks. Yeah, it's a smaller car. So, yeah, on a super speedway, bring them out. On a smaller track, a Bristol, something like that, doesn't work so well. Doesn't work so well. So finally, Chase Elliott with the victory this week, and that was big. I'll tell you, one of the things about NASCAR is that it is really taken a hit, because I was looking for sound bites on both ABC and Westwood One. The last NASCAR soundbite that I could find was from March 3rd. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you know, the 26,000 that were in Bristol, it just is not becoming that relevant anymore, unfortunately. And I was thinking about that as I was watching, and I said, why is this? And I kind of see baseball going through the same slide, and I think that when you try to make it, because it was the most politically incorrect sport you could possibly imagine. Leaded gas, Confederate flags, and a sponsor and a championship named after politically incorrect than that. And I think that was part of the appeal of the sport. Now, those flags are gone. It's Monster Energy that sponsors the Cup. And, I mean, you tell me. Now, I think that a lot of that has to do with it. And then it's, boy, we are watching cars go around in a circle, aren't we? You know, I think baseball, the same thing, you know, is happening where, you know, oh, wait, and it's not going to help them out any. Regardless, Kyle Larson's airborne crash on the last lap. Larson's incident was similar to Matt Kenseth in the race 3 years ago, as the cars seemed to lift off with or without contact in both instances. So, what do the spacers do for the cars? And evidently, the reaction, well, not much. What did Larson say? Initially, I thought I was going to hit the inside of the wall, and right before I got there, it started to lift. That was probably the longest lip I've ever had. I just didn't know if it would ever stop. I knew I was flipping, and I was just hoping I wouldn't get any closer to the catch fence. It was a little bit scary. Whenever you flip, I mean, the crashes are majestic, but yeah, you don't want to see, you know, oh, yes, so sorry you died, but the visual appeal of the crash is just, you know. I'm all right. Thanks to the Fab Shop, Chip Ganassi Racing, for building safe race cars. Like I said, it was scary, but I'm thankful I'm okay. Chase Elliott was talking about looking forward to the challenge of Talladega right before the race. He comes out really with a victory that I didn't think was all that dramatic, but just well needed and much needed for Chevrolet. I'm curious. I mean, we're going to go to all pony cars, and if we go to all pony cars, I would imagine that would help Chevy out. But yeah, the bulk and all this. People are liking a Mustang. It's been the Toyotas that have done very well, though, and I think that, yeah, when you have the extra metal around you, certainly on a short track, you tell me. So, See, I know that a lot of people talk about if they would put in the Charger or the Challenger, which would be a much bigger car than the pony cars would be. I'm intrigued by that, if that would ever happen. And if Toyota goes down, the Supra or whatever, And then you have the Camaro and the Mustang on the circuit. What would the Challenger be? I think that it would dominate the short tracks again, and then we'd see, what's going on in these super speedways. But a much-needed victory, and yeah, I guess the Camaro is now looked upon as not necessarily the, dare I say it, moonshine car. I think we knew that. It's the fast car. It's the one winning on the super speedway. That's going to be big for Chevy. Yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah, I think that since the race was run, NFL draft and all that, I'm a little surprised. I mean, next year we talked about how NASCAR is going to take 2 weeks off for the Olympics. And I'm sorry, I just don't think that the NASCAR fan is probably all that interested in the Summer Olympics. I've always preferred the Winter Olympics myself because I'm a hockey fan, and what should we say here? I'm a hockey fan, so I love the Winter Olympics. I like the beauty of figure skating. I like that. As far as the high hurdles, it can get a little boring. Fan. But NFL draft or something, well, they can say, well, we're running the race on the day when the draft is over. Okay, I'll buy that. But maybe trying to compete a little less with the NFL, or even if it's possible in Major League Baseball, that's a real tough task to do, I guess, regardless. Anyway, get a little bit of time here. By the way, tonight, yeah, it will be tonight because we're going to broadcast after 6 p.m., but beginning at 5:30, Kevin Powers will be behind the mic as the Unicoi County softball team tries to complete an undefeated record in the Three Rivers Conference. The game, which begins at 5:30 and can be heard on both 1420 WEMB Sports Radio and Jet Broadcasting, stoves. I'm all for that. I love gas stoves. When they're on, they're on. When they're off, they're off. There's no burning your hand beyond recognition on a gas stove. I love gas stoves for that reason, okay? Go put your home, hook it up to gas. Thanks to the Unicoi County Gas Utility District, Health and Home Care of Irwin, Unicoi County Insurance Agency, the computer guy in Irwin, he fixes all my computers, Irwin Utilities, the Irwin Paint and Body Shop, got to take my car down to David True and say, I think I might want to put a paint job on it, that sort of thing. Clinchfield Federal Credit Union, Jones and Church Farms, Relay for Life of Unicoi County, and Jones Hardware, celebrating their 60th anniversary there in Unicoi, town of. It's also right on the border of Unicoi and Washington County, or I guess there is that little, part, Road 26. The Unicoi County type name, Whitson, yes, Whitson, is going places, namely Middle Tennessee State. Courtney Whitson, outstanding basketball player at Dobbins-Bennett, has just signed class of 2019 to commit to the Lady Raiders of Middle Tennessee State. Her signing is the 7th player in this year's class for TSU. Could have a real nice basketball team. Remember that. I mean, and also, could that mean in future seasons ETSU, a game MTSU and ETSU, they've played before. Woodson posted the announcement on Twitter. She has scored in her Dobbins-Bennett career 2,456 career points and had more than 1,000 rebounds. So, yeah, looks like Middle Tennessee is getting a pretty good player in Courtney Whitson to star for them. Wanted to give a local shout out to someone who had just signed. But that's Kelly Harper signed Lacey Gallard. Is that, can I pronounce my, see this here? Oh boy, I can't read my own handwriting now. Name is Lacey Goldwire. No, I could not have gotten that from my handwriting here. There's no way I could have gotten that from my handwriting, Goldwire. But she had been on the Arkansas staff. Now she comes to Tennessee. That's good news whenever you can pluck somebody from someone in your own conference. But yeah, it is Arkansas. It's not South Carolina or Mississippi State. But anyway, the Lady Vols at least still have that kind of prestige. So that is a I've talked about, the Predators are out, but what about these happens Eastern Conference Finals? Because that would really be the local teams to a certain extent. I mean, Raleigh, Columbus, depending on where you live, it's just as far away from those locales as it is Nashville, right? It's comparable. So what about it? This yesterday, here's the call on that.
Skates, poked away by Philip Grubauer. Calvert has it, looks down ice. Puts it now for Nathan McKinnon. Here's McKinnon on a breakaway. Empty net goal. Hey! Shoots and scores. Nail, meet Coffin, we think.
You think, actually, there was